I'm making at the moment a Grandad mouse. Now I make all the bodies out of pipe cleaners, and I use felting wool to make the heads. So what I'm doing is wrapping some of the felting wool round the pipe cleaner for the head. It's better when you're doing this to sort of spread out the fibres of the felting wool and then sort of layer them over. You want to tangle it more than anything, because when we're felting, that's what we're doing, is tangling up the wool. Right, I'll just move these bits out of the way. Felting needles come in all different sizes. Now the basic thing is they've got little barbs on the end of the needle. If it goes into your finger, it's a bit like little fish hooks and it hurts a lot. So I found that stabbing it on some of this packaging foam and you've got to go careful, don't go too mad, because you can't keep hitting the pipe cleaner, the wires that's on the inside, and this takes a while. You have to keep sort of scritching it round and turning it. It pushes the fibres so you can sort of shape where you want the fibres to go. These animals, or I've made different animals, but these little mice animals are all going to go and live in somebody's doll's house. So I'm making them 12 scale. That means that a man would be 6 inches tall, a lady about 5 and a bit inches tall, and babies are anything from 1.5 to 2 inches tall, and then we have toddlers and children all in between sizes. So this is going to be a Grandad mouse. I've given him a little fat belly and a fat bottom. That's to hang his trousers off of. If the head's too skinny, you can just add on some more felting wool. Like this, you just get a bit more. He's not too bad, but I think we could do with a little bit more on him. So I'll just shred it up and maybe put some round here. And I'm going to make the ears separate and then felt them onto him. You can't see it, can you? because I didn't realise my hands are holding it higher up than you're looking. You can buy felting needles as well, like this, with 3 at a time on it, like 3 needles. That's for if you want to get on faster. And I'm always impatient, I'm always wanting it done as soon as I think about something. I think that's about right. Now I'll just put this lethal weapon away. How I make the ears, this is more for my benefit than anyone else's, is because I make quite a lot of different mice and different ears. To make sure I get the same size, I've cut off the top of a Pritt stick here to make a circle, and that way I've got a little tiny one that was off of like a washer thing that's plastic, and the idea is that I get a bit of this wool, try and make them the same size, shred it out, fold it over on itself a few times, and then I try to make it in a loose round, not into a tight bit but just loosely into a round shape. Then I pop it in the hole and then start felting round it. Now what will happen is that will virtually shove all the way into the plastic, but it's making, see, it's making it like the right sort of roundness. Then I turn it over again because it's pulled all them fibres out that way. I just turn it over and stab it round the other way. What happens when you're doing this is the felting actually shrinks up a little bit, so it gets smaller than the hole as you're doing it. Here, I can show you that. Inside there you've got a little gap going round it. Anyway, when I've done 2 the same, hopefully, I've lost a bit of wool now. Oh, here it is. Taking out any foreign things like a bit of cotton that's landed in there. Right, scrunch it up and then loosely fold it into a bit of a circle and start felting. You can see that that one's bigger than that one, but that's because I've turned that one over. And do it again. Do it as many times as you like. The stuff actually does get tighter and tighter, but I think all you're really aiming for is for the things to hold their shape. Now, one of the ways of attaching this now is you just, I'm going to need one on each back of the head, so I start felting it on one side of the head. You got to just mind your fingers a bit. You can pull them about and if it's in the wrong place, you can pull it off and start again. Just mind your fingers on that. Now if I hold the head down, and try to felt the ears on, so what I'm aiming for there is 2 ears onto the top of the triangular head. Now it might not look much, but actually when you've done the triangular head and then you've put on a little embroidered face and some little beady eyes, you can felt the eyes on. Some of them I felt on, sometimes I just add little beads, and you can make them however you like really. I'm sure everybody that makes them will find their own way of doing it. Now that's going to be Grandad Mouse. Now there's another thing you can do with these. I usually use some really thick cottons. They're really for sewing things like leather. Now this one is a polyester, and it's not very floppy really, or you can use thicker threads that are used for like sewing leather together. But on the Grandad one, I've done one once before, and I think I'll do that on this one, and I've used a very, very fine wire, and the finest wire, it's like a surgical wire, but I found one that's wrapped in a white sort of coating, and you can actually make them curled like twirly whirly. Well, amongst all this mess, the wire's here somewhere, or maybe it isn't, but I can't, I don't know what I've done with it at the moment, so I'll have to leave the whiskers and go on to something else. Now that's one. One of the ways that I make the clothes, like on the arms, this piece round the body is a piece of stockinette finger bandage. So you buy your finger bandage at a chemist, and then I cut a piece off, and I can put a bit of this soft wadding in. So if I want to fat this sort of thing, it's for stuffing toys. You see, it's all fluffy. It's for stuffing toys, but it's cheap, and you can shove them in any shape you like. With some of the women ones, there's a woman one, look, she's going to get like boobs on her, boobs and a belly. He's just got a beer belly. So you can make a shape so that the mice aren't just skinny. Now with this shirt for him, I've done the sleeves by wrapping material round a pencil, and then you can glue it. The pencil was here earlier. So what I've done here is I've wrapped the fabric round on itself and made a seam at the front, because we could put little buttons going down his shirt. This will look like a shirt when it's finished. Now what I've done here is cut slots either side so that it will go round the sleeve. Now I don't want too much fabric round the neck, but I find it's easier to trim that as I go along, so that there's not too much fabric, but I want enough so that it's just neatly sort of laid on there. And then what I hope to do is then make a collar and put the collar on top. So if I look here, I've got to find sort of the middle bit of the neck, and I've got some really nice sharp scissors here, so I'll just cut a little bit more of this away around the neck bit. That's okay so far. I've folded that and I don't want as much on the shoulder, so I'll trim them off. At the back of the shirt thing, I don't want too much fabric either. This is t-shirt material, and you'd be surprised, it doesn't really fray. So that's a bonus, because when you're working with tiny little fabrics, if it keeps fraying, it makes a mess, or you've got to glue the seams to stop them fraying in the first place. Now, I just put a little bit of glue either side where the shoulder bits are going to be, and really glue the fabric to the shoulders of the sleeves. That bit folded over is not so clever. I'm just going to cut that bit off. It's showing where I don't want it to show. So if you glue that there onto the shoulders of the sleeves, I've folded it in under the armhole. Now this one, when I do this side, I want it to just meet the tops of the shoulders and sit on there, and then so I'm using this tacky glue again, and a little bit on there. This is my lockdown place of work. When I'm back at the shop, I'll be working at the shop. I have found it quite difficult during the lockdown, because every time I want to make something, I've either left something at the shop that I needed to finish making something, or I haven't got something else with me. It's quite frustrating. Now, when I make a collar, I could use this t-shirt material, but generally I use like a white cotton. That seems to glue and look sharper as a man's collar. I'm not sure what this would look like, but if I do a collar, what I do is fold the material in half and glue it all the way along, and then I cut it and fold it round the neck. I can try and do it with this fabric, but I'm not sure if it will work or not. So this is the other good glue for fabrics, is Pritt Stick. For some reason it doesn't come through the fabrics, you know, it stays on one side. So I'm going to try, because I just want this piece to be folded over on itself, I'm going to try Pritt Stick. Seems to work. Well, it's glued it over there anyway. And the only thing is with this Pritt Stick, it is a bit chewy and sticky, so I don't like cutting through it all with my best scissors, and we're best off waiting until that's really, really dry. There's a way of cutting. I'm going to cut it anyway. Let's use a bigger pair of old scissors. Right, I need enough material on the collar to go round the neck from the front, round the back to that side. So if I sort of put my finger there, I know where I'm going from to. So cut that there. Now when you cut a collar, you need to go up and across the top. It's getting narrower at the back, and then back down again, and then we cut that across there. Now I've I've got this side wider than that side, so I'm going to take a little bit more off. It's like the good old days, isn't it? Poor old man with his collar. Right, it's too big at the moment, but that's not a problem. If I wrap it round his neck and cross it over, then where it's crossed, you can virtually put a pair of scissors straight up and cut it and when I put that round, that should fit. Not ideal. Still, and have another go. Bit more off of that one. It's about right. I like it a bit more. Right, I'll need to put a bit of glue on this collar before I wrap it round. I use a cocktail stick for a lot of gluing, just because you can push it on where you need it to go rather than try and get it out of anything in a funny way. Here we go, collar at the back. Wrap it round there and there, and hopefully it'll meet in the middle. So we've got a little collar on his shirt. Now I'd do the same for the cuffs on the shirt. I would actually double up a piece of material and just go round, but we don't know what he's going to wear yet, whether he's going to have a jacket over the top or a waistcoat. If he had a waistcoat, I'm pretty sure I'd do little cuffs on his shirt. And I'm stopping there now with him because I've had enough of him at the moment. See you another day.